Hi. The goal here is to talk about groups versus teams. So the starting point is sports. We have what are called individual sports like swimming or wrestling. And then we have what are called team sports like water polo or basketball. Now normally we call these kinds of sports individual sports because participating in them, you just remember your individual performances. I started swimming when I was about this age and kept swimming until I was about this age. And I honestly can't tell you or remember a single swim meet, a single win or loss, except for one meet in high school where we won the league championship. But it's a matter of adding points. It was like computing an equation at the end. And over here, I have all sorts of emotion associated with being a team. Remember, I can tell you details about this slide. This guy has the right hand up. 2 hands up is now illegal. This guy was on the outside, had this little space of water to shoot on, so he bounced the ball off this, got a really bad bounce because it bounced it up and towards the goalie. The goalie's popping because it's an outside shot. This guy was probably the best solution for him to pass it to him so he could slam it in. I could go on and on and on. We can talk about Michael Jordan, how he treated basketball as a group exercise and emphasized his individual stats and performance, and only became successful when he started making the people around him better. In a team, you're worried about the other people's development on the team. The biggest problem with teams is that there's typically just one winner. You look at the first robotics teams, they have to spend all this time raising money, and then they go to competitions, and they keep moving up the competition ladder until they lose. And ultimately, it's depressing. If you talk to the students at College Park, they enter this competition. These are the winners of the 2010 hovercraft competition. But if you talk to the students that lose, they're not interested in being part of another team like that, where one of their teammates spends an all-nighter messing up the software that semi-worked. The goal of a group is totally different than that of a team. It's an individual performance that aggregates together into a company or an institution, and you get promoted as an individual. Project Runway experimented with this concept of a team, and it totally failed. Season 11, they tried to run the entire season as a team, where they would put designers together and then choose the winning team or losing team, and then on the losing team, choose the person that was kicked off the show.
I really like that. I think that looked gorgeous on the runway.
This one, let me see.
Oscar!
Oh, do you have the price on this one?
Oscar runs off, and he's not paying attention to what Stephanie and I are doing. Oscar, do you want to help me pick blue?
Okay, it would look great under whatever Oscar's doing as a blouse.
That's why we need him. Let's just get Oscar so we can cut.
It's perfect, this one.
We're really not working as a team. We have not talked about how these pieces are going to tie together.
I can spend 200.
Don't go past that. Check in with us for sure to make sure. He should come to the table. That was kind of the point.
Nick's design team's a dysfunctional group.
Things aren't going well.
Can we incorporate blue into your costume, into your outfit?
No. Oh my God.
And since then, Project Runway's abandoned this whole team concept. Shark Tank is an excellent example of how the real world works. You don't really have people competing in front of the investors. You have the investors picking and choosing among the presentations that are totally different in front of them.
Next into the tank is a product designed to help students with the high cost of college.
Hi Sharks, my name is Christopher Gray. I'm from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and my company is Scully. I'm seeking $40,000 for 15% of my company. College is expensive. I know, I'm a student. The cost of college rises every year, and students and parents are forced to take out student loans to pay the bill. This puts many students in insurmountable debt. But there's an alternative, scholarships. The only problem is these scholarships are extremely hard to find. This causes millions of dollars in free money to go to waste, as many students don't know this money exists. So that's why I created Scully. Scully is a mobile app that matches students with hundreds of potential scholarships. You simply input some information about yourself, such as the state you live in, your GPA, and press match, and there you have it, a list of scholarships you qualify for, literally in minutes. Anymore.
Do you do this by yourself or do you have partners?
I have two co-founders. They both are app and web developers. I'm the business guy, the CEO.
How'd you come up with this idea?
So I'm right now a junior. I'm an undergraduate at Drexel University. I won $1.3 million in scholarships.
1.3 million?
So a group rewards the individual and is sustained. The seasons come and go in Project Runway. The investors and the presenters in Shark Tank come and go. They become institutions, and this is what lasts. Let's look at this from a master's in business administration, an MBA point of view.
The words group and team are, for the most part, interchangeable. At least most people use them that way, but there are distinct differences between groups and teams. For example, we have a football team, not a football group. Or we have a special interest group, not a special interest team. While the differences are subtle, they are indeed different, and we need to understand what those differences are. The main difference is that a team's strength or focus depends on the commonality of their purpose and how the individuals are connected to one another. On the other hand, a group can come from having a large number of people or a cohesive willingness to carry out a focused action, political reform, for example. While these differences might be subtle, we have to understand that a group is a number of individuals forming a unit for a reason or cause. And a team is a collection of accomplished people coming together for a common goal that needs completion. The subtleness of these differences are more pronounced when we take these words a step further and look at a work group and work teams. In the business world, we have work groups and work teams. A work team has members who work interdependently on a specific common goal to produce an end result for their business. A work group is two or more individuals who are interdependent in their accomplishments and may or may not work in the same department. Once again, the differences are subtle, but the main thread is a team works together and shares in the outcome, while a group is more independent of each other. Additional aspects of work groups and teams are: in a team, the leader acts as a facilitator, while in a work group, the leader dominates and controls the group. For work groups, the leader is a parent and will conduct the meeting, while in a team environment, the members have active participation in the discussions and eventual outcome. In a team, the team members decide on the disbursement of work assignments, while in a group, the leader usually assigns work to the members.
The American Society of Engineering Education has begun publishing articles about teamwork in engineering projects. So the goal right now is to understand that in this Introduction to Engineering course, our goal is to behave as a group, not as a team. Probably all of your life you've wanted to belong to a team where everybody works together and succeed or fail together. There's a common commitment to a common goal. You're all the same age. You're all ready to work all night long together. And it is the gold standard of amazing work. The trouble is it's not sustainable. Engineers are trying to create something that others can replicate. There's old engineers working together with new engineers. It's a humbling experience to work in a group. You don't have the singularity of win or lose, where everybody gets recognition and there's somebody maybe voted most valuable. In a group, recognition is years of service. In a group, people can't even recognize how much work you put into it. The goal is repeatability by others. In a team, You don't have to document anything. You just have to perform, and the best performance wins. Look at these logos. I bet you can name the players on your favorite team: football, basketball, hockey, soccer. But look at this logo next to group. That logo's been advertised on TV. It has nobody's name associated with it. When you finish your engineering project, the only name on it is going to be Howard Community College, the institution that you're trying to help build. So how does this feel? Well, in a group, you're just sort of thrown into it. You're born into a family. You're randomly grouped together in introduction engineering class. But you want to belong. You want to be chosen because of who you are. You want to have common goals, everybody to be on the same page. Whereas in a group, one engineer might be interested in quality, lasting a long time. Another engineer's trying to reduce the cost. Can those two objectives combine to make a better product? Does it create tension between the engineers? Does some rationalization have to be put into place to resolve that conflict? Yes, but that's a group. So there's temporary, little tiny cooperation and team successes in a group, but not big. In a group, projects go on forever. They're open-ended. That means there's not clarity on what success is. Whereas in a team, success is defined as winning the game, winning the competition, winning. In a team, the success is defeating the enemy. In a team, everybody has a substitute and a chain of command. There's a backup in place. In a group, you hire somebody else to fill the same spot, and they have a completely different take on what's to be done. And you can be a member of multiple groups. A team, on the other hand, you're not a member of two football teams. A group is how the world works. Teams fall apart. I was part of a unicycle team that fell apart over the two people fighting over popcorn. And of course, it's much deeper than popcorn. I've been on a water polo team where a teammate got so mad at me, they tried to beat me up in the water. I went down to the bottom of the pool. They're diving down to the bottom of the pool, hitting me as hard as they can, coming back up for a breath, diving back down again, hitting me as hard as they can. And the coach has to throw them out of practice. I've been part of water polo teams where the entire team signed a petition to get the coach fired, except for me. Teams fall apart. But I want to tell you about two companies that were built around me and fell apart. The first one fell apart because I didn't think anybody else was working as hard as I was. When in reality, they had different objectives and different gifts, and my goal should have been to build an institution, not to win this creative product that dominates the planet and makes millions of dollars. The second company fell apart because we were in each other's faces too much. We didn't work as a group. We were trying to work as a team. And we're trying to split things up. And we started getting crazy about it. Like, that's my idea, not your idea. They tried to own ideas. They tried to say, you owe me. There's some kind of responsibility, emotional owing somebody something. And yearning for loyalty. Why can't we get along? And after 2 years of that, no company was being built. No institution was being built. That's when I gave up. But I wasn't clear on the difference between a team and a group. I wasn't consciously trying to build an institution. Maybe you can learn this life lesson earlier than I did. When Howard Community College hires a new professor, they get 3 years on probation, 3 years where they have to start performing. We're asking you to do this in 3 weeks. So in an effort to speed this up, You need to understand some of the research that's been going on for 50 years about stages of groups of people and how they evolve into the performing stage.
Groups are a common arrangement in today's business environments. Any manager who works with or supervises groups should be familiar with how they develop over time. Perhaps the best known scheme for a group development was advanced by Bruce Tuckman in 1965. Initially, Tuckman identified 4 stages of group development, which included the stages of forming, storming, norming, and performing. A 5th stage was later added by Tuckman about 10 years later, which is called adjourning. It is believed that these stages are universal to all teams, despite the group members, purpose, goal, culture, location, demographics, and so on. The first stage of group development is known as the forming stage. The forming stage represents a time where the group is just starting to come together and is characterized with anxiety and uncertainty. Members are cautious with their behavior, which is driven by the desire to be accepted by all members of the group. Conflict, controversy, and personal opinions are avoided, even though members are beginning to form impressions of each other and gain an understanding of what the group will do together. Some believe this cautious behavior prevents the group from getting any real work done. However, the focus for group members during the forming stage is to become familiar with each other and their purpose, not on work. Typical outcomes of the forming stage include things like gaining an understanding of the group's purpose, determining how the team will be organized and who will be responsible for what, discussion of major milestones or phases of the group's goal, including a rough project schedule, outlining general group rules, including when they will meet, and discovery of what resources will be available for the group to use. The second stage of group development is known as the storming stage. The storming stage is where conflict and competition are at its greatest. This is because now that group members have an understanding of the task and general feel for who they are as a group and who group members are, they feel confident and begin to address some of the more important issues surrounding the group. Such issues can relate to things like the group's tasks, individual roles and responsibilities, or even the group members themselves. The storming stage is where the more dominant group members emerge, while other less confrontational members stay in the comfort and security of suppressing their feelings just as they did in the previous stage. Even though these individuals stay quiet, issues may still exist. All members have an increased need for clarification. Questions surrounding leadership, authority, rules, responsibilities, and structure, evaluation criteria, and reward systems tend to arise during the storming stage. Such questions must be answered so that the group can move on to the next stage. Consequently, not all groups are able to move past the storming stage. Once a group receives the clarity that it so desperately needs, it can move on to the third stage of group development known as the norming stage. The norming stage is the time where the group becomes a cohesive unit. Morale is high as group members actively acknowledge the talents, skills, and experience that each group member brings to the group. A sense of community is established, and the group remains focused on the group's purpose and goal. Members are flexible, interdependent, and trust each other.
Okay, so let's get real specific. You get together with your group, and you define what your tasks are, and what the group's activity is going to be. Your starting point is going to be given to you by your instructor. It's going to have a due date associated with it. It's going to be fuzzy. You're going to have to clarify it through a problem statement and requirements. Those are the first things you need to work on. You need to work hard. You're going to need to work hard at nothing. You're not going to be clear about what to do. Nobody's going to tell you what to do. But you've got to find the inspiration inside of you to work hard on that project. So write, talk, find video, take pictures, shoot video. Be the first to disagree. Be the first to make a big mess, creating documents with lots and lots of words in it. Be the first to externalize the disagreement, saying, hey, I think we disagree on this. This is cool. Where do we disagree? Let's get clear on this. And then be the first to clean up the messes. Delete stuff. Delete pictures that make no sense. The worst thing you can do is do nothing and be silent.